Mr Speaker.
I call the Honourable Joe Goodhue.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'd like to begin by congratulating you, Mr Deputy Speaker, on your appointment to the role. My fellow classmate of 2005, I'm delighted to see you there, and I just have every confidence in the way you will take on this position. I'd also like to acknowledge, as I start my first address to this 51st Parliament, the Right Honourable David Carter, and also his assistants, the Honourable Trevor Mallard and also Lindsay Tish. It's great to be starting again. It's great to be through what was a very challenging election campaign. Because the election campaign was not about the contest of policies or ideas, not even about the contest of ideals for New Zealand. It was about the contest of distraction, the contest of sideshow, the contest of theatre. And I have to say that I doubt very much that any members of this House enjoyed the fact that we weren't debating our policies. I have to say that I can certainly speak for myself and say I'm pleased that's behind us. I'm pleased we can get on with the work now and we can get on with delivering on the policies here on the National Party side of the House that we campaigned on. Under the Right Honourable John Key, we got a result, I believe, that we deserved because New Zealanders worked out they could trust us to deliver on our promises. I believe that New Zealanders knew they could trust us to actually be about all New Zealanders, to deliver to them, to work for local communities, to work to make a better life for all New Zealanders, that we would continue to be focused on high quality state sector services, continue to reduce costs for New Zealanders, to grow the economy and to protect our environment, knowing that all of these are integrally linked to each other. I want to acknowledge the new MPs that have risen in this House and made their maiden statements. I want to welcome them to this place as someone who's been here for some 9 years and who recently reread my maiden statement to see whether I still felt it was valid and discovered I quite liked it again. And it is so relevant to the portfolio responsibilities that I find myself with. I'll get on to those in a moment. I want to take this opportunity to thank the people of Rangitata, the some 23,000 people who said they wanted me to be their MP again. I want to thank them for the honour and the privilege of that. And I want to thank the 20,100 people that voted for the National Party. Unprecedented support for the National Party in my electorate. Never has it been so good, and I want to thank them for the confidence. In my electorate, within a long weekend, the election weekend, people voted in their droves early. And partly that was because they were thoroughly, heartily sick to death of the campaign. 33% of those who voted in my electorate voted early. And I think that was because, well, many of them told me they then went and turned the TV off and didn't read the paper because they'd had enough. And I quite understand that, as I've said. It was a difficult campaign for all candidates from all sides of the House. My portfolio's in this new Parliament, and I'm absolutely privileged to be again a minister in the national government. My portfolios include the portfolios that I had before of community and voluntary sector, one I'm enormously proud of. It is such an integral part of New Zealand, it is such a generous part of New Zealand, and it is such a part that knits together community resilience during the good times and also during the bad. I've also continued with my Associate Primary Industries role, and I'll continue to be given the delegation of forestry. It's a sector that I've come to respect, come to know much better than when I took on this role, and it's also a sector that has great promise for New Zealand, having the highest exports ever in this last year, but it is indeed a sector where New Zealand can see growth in engineered timber products, can see growth in technology being put to great effect, and we can also see that in that sector we can do so much better when we continue to invest in improving skills and training. In terms of new portfolios, well, I have the food safety portfolio, something that is absolutely integral to our ability to feed so many millions of mouths. I understand about 35 million mouths are our potential, and as a nation we certainly are moving more and more towards that. So food safety is incredibly important. I'll go on to some details about that in a moment. And lastly, my role as Associate Social Development Minister, which will bring into play many of the skills, the knowledge and the experience that I learned as Associate Health Minister, given that we are often dealing with groups that are catering to the needs of New Zealanders side by side. So I'm certainly looking forward to that. What I can see is with my primary industries role, community and voluntary sector role, food safety role and associate social development role coming from a rural electorate, then these are so important in my electorate as they are to many other electorates in the country. In terms of the primary industries sector, well, we are certainly reaching for the stars. But in reaching for the stars, it is incredibly important that we do so in such a valid way, such a careful way, that we do not harm the environment at the same time. And the National Party has a proud record of keeping in mind the environment, but doing more as well. So whilst we are provided 120 million toward irrigation and water storage, we are also setting rules that must be abided by in terms of protecting waterways and improving the quality of water across New Zealand. This is extremely important in my electorate of Rangitata, where Canterbury has such an incredible water resource, but a water resource that is in some cases stretched, a water resource that in some cases, in many cases, does need to be improved. We're putting in place the right business environment so that the businesses of New Zealand can grow. And whilst the previous member has told us in her electorate she sees not enough jobs, what I can say for my electorate is that we are starting to see skill shortages because there are so many jobs going that our businesses just want to grow. But right now we need to do as a government our best efforts to make sure that the skills are in place so that IT, engineering, food sector and primary industry sector roles are taken up in more demand through our tertiary institutions, and that these are the people that are trained for my electorate and other electorates to continue to produce high quality food, export to the world and have our businesses continue to grow. In terms of our focus on the community and voluntary sector, well, the new frontier for us is social enterprise. Now, social enterprise is not unknown to New Zealanders. There are many social enterprises that are well known, like the Red Cross, but what we're trying to do is build capability across the country so that social enterprise becomes the way of literally doing business to assist with social sector challenges across New Zealand. And so the government is currently working with the Akina Foundation to energise that sector and to provide more resources so that can grow. In terms of food safety, well, there's about 14% of New Zealand's working population employed by food businesses. We need to make sure that we have in place the right regulatory environment, not an overly red tape burdened regulatory environment, but an environment that assures the rest of the world that we know what we're doing when it comes to food safety, that we know how to handle events when they happen, and because of course we do know that the WPC event happened, we have the second of the reports coming out before the end of next month. And at that stage we'll be able to make the rest of the changes that will be necessary so that the rest of the world can have confidence that not only are we a world leader in this space, but that we learn from events that happen as well. Absolutely vital that we show as a nation we have the courage to look at what happens, what went wrong, what can be improved, and to grow from that as a nation. Food is a major export, accounting for just over 52% of our total value of New Zealand exports. So with the world population expecting to get to 9 billion, we need to grow and continue to grow our ability to add extra value to the world's food sources. I just want to add as well that we've announced today the establishment of the new Food Safety Science Research Centre alongside Minister Joyce. This will improve traceability of our food products and it will build primary sector capability in emerging markets. Massey University will be the host of this, and alongside of industry interests, this will lead our continuing growth when it comes to food safety. We want to make sure that there is more confidence in New Zealand's systems as well. I'm looking forward to working with Minister of Social Development, the Honourable Anne Tolley, as Associate Minister. This is a particularly important portfolio to New Zealand, and I conclude my comments, Mr. Speaker, and look forward to working with you also.
Great speaker.